Hi, my name is Tangos, and this is a video on what to practice. Before I get started, I want to point out to you that this is a high-level video, which means I'm going to gloss over some important details. However, I will point out some reminder points that you want to pay attention to. Next on this list is I'm about to do a whole lot of yapping, so if you'd like to skip that yapping, go to this timestamp in the video. All right, you've been duly warned. So let's talk about two pink elephants in the room. Yeah, those guys. Pink elephant number one is I'm not wearing Tango shoes. Pink elephant number two is I'm not in a pair of socks. So let's talk about pink elephant number two. Why am I not wearing a pair of socks? The reason I'm not wearing a pair of socks is because I want you to see what my feet are actually doing. Yes? Pink elephant number one, why am I not wearing a pair of shoes, is because I want my foot to feel the floor and for the shoe not to compensate for any equilibrium issues that I may have. So basically, what I want to do when I am practicing is that I want to take my foot out of the shoe and feel my foot on the floor. Yes, you can do this in a pair of socks. The only reason I'm not wearing a pair of socks is because I want you to see it. So you can be in a pair of socks. However, I want you to take the shoe out of the equation. And the reason why you're taking the shoe out of the equation is because the shoe is compensating for you. Every shoe has a lip to it, and that little tiny lip is creating a compensation for you. And we want to take that compensation out of the equation. You basically want to feel where you are, shall we say, generating inequality, or more importantly, a lack of equilibrium. Yes? So take your foot, more importantly, take your socked foot out of the shoe and do what I'm asking you to do. Yes? So let's dive into what to practice. All right, so there are two kinds of practice in the world that I talk about. One is solo practice, and the other is couples practice. To be fair, one feeds the other. However, I'm a strong proponent of solo practice, not necessarily couples practice. And the reason why I'm not a strong proponent of couples practice is because that if you haven't cleaned your issues over here, what's going to happen is that those issues are going to come over here, and when you put both people together, you're going to co-create problems that you didn't think of, that you didn't see coming. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm a strong proponent of fixing your issues over here and then going to couples practice. Yes? All right. All right, so there are four questions we have to answer here. One is the what you practice. Then there's the how you practice. There's the when you practice, and then there's the where you practice. So let's talk about those last two, the where and the when. The where, as you can see, is basically my living room. You do not need a dance studio for this. You can do this in your, just basically a 6x6 square, and that's it. It does not need to be more complex than that. You don't need a dance studio, and more importantly, you don't need a partner. Now, you could go to a practica space to do this, but people might look at you funny and you may feel a little self-conscious, so work on this stuff at home. It's much simpler. So that's the where. So let's talk about the when. The when part is about 2 to 3 times a week at about 30 to 45 minutes each session. That's it. That's all. It does not need to be more complex than this. All right, so that's the where, that's the when, and now we're going to talk about the how. The how stuff is embedded in the what we're actually doing. Make sense? All right, so let's talk about the what do you practice. This question of what do you practice is actually broken down into 3 distinct areas. The first is your walk. The second is disassociation and applying that disassociation and then using that disassociation. And the third is a rotational construct, better known as a Molinete structure. Yes? All right. We're going to get into all of that. So, but first things first, we actually want to do the walking part. But before we get to the walking part, we have to create a little bit of hyper-awareness of what we're doing with our body. And this is known as presence. And it's the first part of every single step. So bring your feet together in social collection like you see me doing here. The second is we want to add a little bit of compression in our knees, a little bit of bounce. We don't want them locked out and we don't want them overbent. Yes? But we want just enough of a slight bend in our knees. That's it. Nothing more than that. Next is elongate our spinal column. Yes, we don't want it ramrod straight and we don't want it collapsed over like so. Yes, but instead we want to elongate that spinal column, stacking our spine one on top of the other. Yes, and last but not least is our head, and we want our head directly over our shoulders, not bent down and not looking at the floor. Yes, and not so far back that we've raised our chin. The last thing, there is a fifth component here, and I usually talk about this as the fourth component, but I just added that little bit about the head. So I want you to take a long, slow, deep breath. Take your dominant hand. I'm right-handed. And I'm going to place it on my belly button here, on my solar plexus here, and I want you to take a long, slow, deep breath. Breathe in, and then breathe out. What you're wanting to do is find your breath. Now, you're gonna think that that's not that important, when it is, when in reality, it is. You're gonna say, Miles, that's not that important. Now, I'm gonna say to you, it most certainly is. What this does is it creates a mental grounding effect, and that grounding effect is kind of sort of important. It literally brings you into your body, yes? So, yes. This is presence. It's the first part of every single step. Now, your walk consists of the leading side, and then there's the following side, and yet both contain the same basic elements. It's at this point I'm going to point out to you two important videos. The first is the leads exercise, and the second is the followers exercise. Both of those videos contain everything that I'm about to show you in detail. Yes? All right. Next is the what do we actually practice? All right, so let's talk about how you land your foot. From a leading perspective as well as from a following perspective. Let's talk about the leading perspective first, and then we'll talk about the following perspective next. So from a leading perspective, how do we land our foot? We have three options here. The first is, let's do this from this angle. The first is heel to toe, yes. The second is sole to the floor. And the third is toe to heel. The first one, I don't need to talk to you about this because you do this naturally by default. The next is sole to the floor, and this is a holdover from Vija Urquiza style of dancing. We don't need to worry about this at this point. This is something that is only used typically in Buenos Aires these days. It's sort of fallen out of favor in the rest of the world, but there are still dancers that teach this idea. So we don't necessarily need to work on that one. The one that we do want to aspire towards is toe to heel. And that's pointing your toe, yes? So that's from a leading perspective. From a following perspective, and this one's gonna get me into trouble, I can see it coming already. What I advocate is going straight back and landing toe to heel, yes? That's what I advocate. However, we do want to gravitate towards this idea when we're going backwards. Boom. Yes, and that's engaging a little bit of supination and then rotating backwards into a straight position. That one's gonna get me into a whole lot of trouble. However, for this kind of work, we want to do straight back and landing straight back. And the reason why is because that is much harder than this guy, yes? Because there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to go with that other guy. So let's take that out of the equation for now. We will address it much later in detailed work. So please go see Tango Topics for detailed information on that. All right, so that's the how you land your foot. Next is how you extend your leg as a lead and as a follow. How do you extend your leg? So from a leading perspective, I want to pull my leg forward. From a following perspective, I want to pull my leg backwards. Yes, it does not get any more complex than that. Let's not get overly worked up about this one. So I want to pull my leg forward, yes? Or I want to pull my leg backwards. However, when I do this, two things are going to happen. One, what we don't want to have happen is pulling our leg back in this structure, or pulling my leg back or pulling my leg forward in this structure. Instead, what we're looking to do is to pull it forwards or backwards as one unit, yes? So watch what I'm doing as I'm doing this as a lead, boom, or as a follow, boom. Yes? So think of it like it's a pendulum. Yes? Forwards or backwards, that line is still straight, and that's what we're looking for. However, when the leg starts to take weight, the knee has to bend in order to accomplish the goal of taking weight. So let's do this backwards first. Boom. Yes, we've got that long, clean, straight line. Now as I start to take weight, the knee has to bend to accomplish that goal of taking weight. Or if I'm going forwards, boom, yes, and now the knee has to bend in order to take weight. Make sense? Yes? All right. So once again, so that's backwards, boom, and it bends to take weight, yes, or forwards, boom, and it bends to take weight. Yes? Make sense? All right. So another component here is just the side step itself. Now, I spend a fair amount of time on just the side exercise itself, but I do want to talk a little bit about it. So it's this idea where and you're only going to see that from this angle right there. So there are 5 things that we don't want to do. One is countersend, send, countersend, which means I'm going to send my body that way to go that way, which is a waste of energy. The next of these idea is changing level. So that's going up and then down to come up, and we don't want that to happen. Next is we don't want to engage a thud. So in other words, we want our foot to glide along the floor. And last but not least is that I don't want my foot, my leg to cross over my lateral line, or I don't want it to go away from it. Yes? So one more time. That is a proper side step. That's what we're looking for. So now there's one more thing that we have to talk about, and that's this idea known as opposition. This is known as walking in opposition, which you erroneously think of as contra body. Now, I'm going to dispel why this is an issue. Contra body, when you translate that from the Spanish to the English, contra means against. So that means you're going against your own body in your head. Walking in opposition is what you do naturally. I want to point this out to you. Walking in opposition is as I step forward with my right, my left shoulder comes forward to counter it. And my arm acts as a counterweight. Yes? Boom. 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 Now I'm exaggerating this so that you can see it. However, if I'm walking naturally, yes, you can see my arms are acting as counterbalance, and there's a tiny amount of rotation here. This is kind of sort of important. Now, if I want to exaggerate this so that you can see it, like so. Yes. This is known as walking in opposition. And the reason why I'm pointing this out to you, let's go back directly into the camera so you can see it. Yes. This is known as walking in opposition. Yes. Let's do this backwards. Boom. Make sense? All right. So the reason why I'm talking about walking in opposition is because what you're going to see is the extrapolation of this idea. It's slowed down, it's contained, and it's controlled. This is what we want to build into our walk. Yes? Having said all of that, let's talk about the what you practice part. Yes? The walking part. All right. So from a leading perspective first, I'm going to do this not necessarily engaging in embrace, although if you'd like to engage in embrace, you are more than welcome to do that. However, I am going to point something out to you, that if you engage in embrace, what we do not want to have happen is what's referred to as a collapsing or expanding embrace. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So as I'm walking, typically what happens is a collapse of our arm in towards our body, and we don't necessarily want that to happen. Or its corollary, which is to go away from the shoulder line. And again, we don't necessarily want to do this. Usually what I have my students do is place their arms up like so that you can actually see the collapse actually happen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So what typically ends up happening is this idea. Now, have I actually engaged opposition in this case? No, what I'm doing is I'm moving my arm to compensate, and this is not what we're looking for. We actually want to engage that opposition that we're looking for, yes? So, you can do this with an embrace, however, I tend to not want to do that. What I'm looking for is this idea, yes? Make sense? That's what we're looking for. All right, now that we've got that all yapped about, let's talk about extensions first and then the walking part. Yes? So extensions exercise, very important. So again, regardless of whether or not you are leading or following, this is sort of mixed together. So we're looking for boom, 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 or backwards, boom, 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 or to the side, boom, 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 yes, and then we switch feet, boom, 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 yes. So we want to engage the extensions as part of our training. Yes. So from the side. And you'll notice that as I go back, yes, I pop that knee. And you'll notice that I'm rotating around my spinal column as I do this. Yes, there's no tension here. Pop that knee. And then forwards. And notice that I'm not tilting backwards, but rather I'm maintaining that a little bit of pressure in my knee. Again, go back to the very first part of presence. We want that little bit of bend in our knee. Yes, a micro bend. Yes, let's do this from this angle. Yes, and then backwards. And then from the side. Yes. So spend about 5 or 6 minutes on just the extension work alone. Forwards and backwards, and remember to engage the opposition component. Yes? All right. So now we get to the walking exercise. Yes? From a leading perspective first, we want this guy. So down into the floor, a little bit of forward intention. Yes. And then weight change, and then